Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev will be taking place on the UFC 297 card. Strickland versus Duplessis, and this is a very interesting matchup. Movsar Evloev is looking to take on a top 5 guy in Arnold Allen, as he does kind of get to show what his skill set is at that featherweight division. Featherweight needs some new contenders, some fresh contenders for Volkanovski or Topuria at this point. So this is a pretty crucial matchup to see, especially as a test for Movsar Evloev, because we haven't really seen him get tested too much. We saw him against Diego Lopez on short notice, which was quite a bit of a test, but that wasn't like an actual camp. I want to see what Movsar Evloev's at this point of his career. He's 30 years of age, isn't the most active of fighter. Hopefully he's been training. I mean, we know he's been training quite a bit. You can see his development through these fights. So I am kind of interested to see what he looks like 7 months after that Diego Lopez fight, which is probably one of the most competitive and rougher fights for him in his entire career. I haven't seen any of his stuff outside the UFC, but in the UFC so far, that was his most competitive fight. Arnold Allen, coming off that loss against Max Holloway, didn't really do too much in that fight. We did kind of figure out a little bit more about his conditioning. His conditioning's pretty good. Turned it up a little bit more in the 5th round. However, he didn't do too much at the beginning rounds there. Max Holloway just kind of did his thing against Arnold Allen. And Arnold Allen was kind of in a similar position as Movsar Evloev is at this point. Arnold Allen, of course, was coming off of that win against Sadiq Youssef. Broke his hand a couple times, so he wasn't the most active guy going to Nick Lentz to Sadiq Youssef. Took about a little bit over a year there. Took another year because of the Dan Hooker fight. Dan Hooker moved down. It was a pretty impressive win, but again, it was Dan Hooker moving down to featherweight, so you didn't really know what to make too much of it. We knew Dan Hooker's chin probably wouldn't have been the best, and we knew he was going to be the slower guy there. So there wasn't too much to make of that fight either. Calvin Kattar got injured at the beginning, so right when you thought Arnold Allen was going to get that test, get that point to prove, honestly, we probably would have won that. Maybe he would have replaced like Emmett or Yair in that interim belt last year, but a lot of things could have happened. But he was in a very similar spot as Evloev, and then they gave him Max Holloway, which was a pretty rough one. But fighting style for fighting style, this is the early prediction and breakdown video. Arnold Allen, what I will say is he's good on the ground. Obviously, he's not Diego Lopez when it comes to grappling on the ground. However, he's a good wrestler. I will say wrestling against wrestling, Evloev is probably the better wrestler. However, Arnold Allen is very strong. In case you don't know much about his genetics, I believe his father's like a strong man or something. Like, Arnold Allen has extremely good genetics, especially when it comes to strength. Like, you can tell Arnold Allen's a very strong dude. Movsar Evloev is a very strong dude as well. I don't think he's grouped in that Dagestani group there. He probably would be training at AKA, honestly, but he trains out of American Top Team. He's training with some of the best fighters in the world, of course. So there's always that question of course, Movsar Evloev's not the most active guy, but you know he's probably developing quite a bit, which is a big question mark on this fight for me, especially. Movsar Evloev, you definitely could tell between his fights that his stand-up is definitely getting a lot better. I think he took about a year off between the Dan Ige fight and the Diego Lopez fight. I think there's a couple pullouts as well on his side and Bryce Mitchell's side, because I know they tried to make that fight quite a bit. I mean, he's supposed to fight Ilia Topuria. Thank God he didn't get that one. That would have been rough for him, but was supposed to fight Bryce Mitchell a couple times. Ended up not happening. So a little bit of a rougher year for him, but he is still developing, of course. But his stand-up has looked a little bit better. He has the combinations down. He still is relatively hittable, and he is a little bit slower on the feet, which is why I think Arnold Allen is going to be a lot better than him on the feet. Of course, Arnold Allen's explosive. He's fast. He's got a lot of power in his hands, and you saw what the little bit of power that Diego Lopez, even though he does have a little bit more of a wild style, was able to land on Evloev and kind of hurt him a couple times in that fight. I think when it comes to the wrestling, Evloev, his goal in this fight should probably be to take Arnold Allen down. I don't think he should be trying to stand with Arnold Allen at all. Even with the takedown threat, I think Arnold Allen still has his work laid out for him on the feet. I think he doesn't really have to worry about the takedowns too much of Evloev. I know that's a weird thing to say because Evloev is very strong. He has very good takedowns. Of course, he has that Sambo background. But I think Arnold Allen is strong enough. He's good at wrestling. Like, he's able to position himself to get out of those bad situations that Evloev puts these guys into. Like, you even saw Hakeem Dawodu. I know this was 2.5 years ago. He did make it a little bit competitive with some of the takedowns that Evloev was trying to land. Same thing with Diego. Well, I won't say Diego Lopez because he's more of a grappler. I mean, he did stuff some of the takedowns later on in the fight. However, he's primarily a guy that's going to, I want you to come to the ground to me so I can land a couple things. And you saw that in the fight, the arm bar. I think there was like a triangle, a knee bar, a bunch of stuff that Diego Lopez landed in that fight. However, I think in this fight, though, I think the power, the speed might be a little bit too much for Evloev. I don't think he's going to get KO'd. However, I think Arnold Allen's going to be able to out damage Movsar Evloev. I know Movsar, again, is developing quite a bit on the feet. I just think Arnold Allen's just going to be a little bit too much speed-wise, power-wise. I think he's just going to be a little bit too much for Evloev. Evloev in this fight should be looking to clinch. In my opinion, I think he is the smaller guy here. He's 5'7" compared to 5'8", so I don't know. For some reason in my brain, I think Arnold Allen's a lot bigger than I would imagine Movsar Evloev would be. So maybe he's going to look for some clinch work, kind of just hold him against the fence, try to do a little bit of damage against the fence that way, kind of just to slow down Arnold Allen, try to take him down, try to make him work. There has been some questions about Movsar Evloev's cardio. I don't even think they're necessarily like real issues there. Of course, we haven't seen him in 5 rounds, but I don't think it's going to be a problem in this 3-round fight either. So I think cardio-wise, both of these guys should be fine. I just think Arnold Allen's just going to be able to land the better shots on Movsar in this fight and win like a 29-28 decision. I think Movsar maybe at some point in like the 3rd round, he's going to be able to just out-muscle Arnold Allen at certain points and hold him against the fence. I mean, he's probably going to be looking for a finish in that 3rd round anyways, but I think he's going to be able to land a little bit of the better shots. He's going to be working Arnold Allen a little bit more. And Arnold Allen, again, I know he did kind of show that his cardio was good against Max Holloway, but that was more of a pace fight. Like he wasn't throwing much against Max Holloway, let's be real. So maybe it's still a little bit of a question in my brain. It's still not completely out there till I see him be a little bit more active in the feet. But I think when it comes to grappling, that's where you'll see Arnold Allen kind of slow down a little bit more. I don't think Movsar is going to win this fight. However, I think Arnold Allen is just going to be a little bit too much on the feet for him. I don't think it's going to be KO. I think he's just going to be able to out-damage him, especially noticeably on the judges' scorecards. So I'm going to go 29-28 decision for Arnold Allen. Let me know who you guys think wins this fight down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.